Jung Sol is a university student eagerly waiting for her first kiss. Despite never having dated anyone, she considers herself well-versed in kissing techniques. She lives with her best friend, whom she's teaching these techniques since her friend has a boyfriend but hasn't kissed him yet. Jung, her longtime best friend, is also present, and he teases her about trying to teach others how to kiss despite having no personal experience. Jung Sol defends herself, saying that while she's never kissed anyone, she's done extensive research on the subject. Back in school, she wrote her first article on how to kiss, which went viral and received thousands of likes. Jung Sol's interest in kissing scenes from dramas is well known. She would lean close to the screen, studying every movement to collect more data. There was even a boy in school who wanted to kiss her, which could have been her first kiss, but Jung intervened, stopping him by claiming the boy was a player who had deceived many girls. She also noticed lipstick marks on his mouth, proving he was already flirting with someone else. Interestingly, Jung Sol had taught him all the secrets of dating and how to be romantic, which made him wildly popular with the girls at school. Though he dated many, he always broke up with them after a few months. In the present, Jung now owns a bar close to Jung Sol's home, and she visits it often. One day, she attends a gathering with fellow university students at the bar. Her best friend is also there. The group begins drinking, and among them is a handsome freshman named Han Yu, who is very popular on campus but whom Jung Sol has never met before. Things escalate when Jung Sol puts on her signature glasses, a sign that she's ready to have fun. The scene cuts quickly, showing her drinking heavily and kissing someone that night. The next morning, she wakes up at home and initially thinks it was all a dream. Excited, she grabs her notebook to jot down every detail she remembers: the softness of the person's lips, the scent of their perfume, and a distinctive mole on their hand. However, she notices her hand is bandaged, which wasn't the case the night before, confirming the kiss wasn't a dream. She's frustrated that she can't recall the face of the person she kissed. Then she remembers Han Yu bandaging her hand and writing on her arm. The realization shocks her. Could Han Yu be the one she kissed? Determined to find out, she goes to Han Yu's university and nervously asks him if anything happened the previous night. Smiling, he confirms something did happen. Embarrassed, she quickly covers his mouth, not wanting him to say anything more. Later, Jung Sol confides in her best friend, recounting the events and asking for details about the night. However, her friend reveals she left early to meet her boyfriend, so she doesn't know what happened after that. Jung Sol vividly remembers Han Yu's face as he bandaged her hand, leaving her even more curious. She wonders how to confirm if he was the one she kissed without embarrassing herself further. While buying snacks, she accidentally bumps into Jin Yu, who happens to be Han Yu's girlfriend. Jin Yu asks if Jung Sol made it home safely, triggering a memory. Jin Yu was also at the bar that night. Jung Sol realizes Jin Yu has the same perfume scent as the person she kissed and also has a mole on her hand. This makes her suspect that Jin Yu could be the one she kissed. She shares her suspicions with her best friend, but he points out that Jin Yu left early with her boyfriend, Jun, and confirms he saw them together. Relieved, Jung Sol rules out Jin Yu as a suspect, though she remains puzzled. Her friends tease her, saying she should stop drinking to avoid such situations. Later, Jung Sol receives a text from Jin Yu, asking to meet. Excited, she becomes convinced Jin Yu might reveal something about that night. The two belong to the same university club and must take photos for a project. Jung Sol hopes the meeting will shed light on the mystery. Jin Yu, Jung Sol, and her best friend go to the university cafe and begin discussing the significance of a first kiss and the lasting impression it leaves. As the conversation unfolds, Jung Sol becomes increasingly eager to uncover the truth about her elusive first kiss. Han Yu smiles and comments that the person who gives the kiss shouldn't be the one to judge it. It's up to the recipient to decide if it was good or not. Jung Sol, flustered, wonders if he's referring to her. After class, Han Yu waits for her to take photos for their project, but first, he invites her to a restaurant. To her surprise, it's an intimate, romantic setting, making her think he's treating the project meeting like a date. As they leave, they run into Toon, a mutual friend, who looks surprised to see them. Toon mentions that he and Han Yu had just eaten together recently. This makes Jung Sol secretly hopeful that Han Yu's invitation was just an excuse to spend time alone with her. Later, they head to a cafe to edit photos, and Han Yu's kind gestures, like tending to her injured hand, make Jung Sol start imagining him as her perfect partner. She thanks him for bandaging her hand that night, but he clarifies that he didn't do it. Instead, it was Toon who applied the bandage, while Han Yu simply wrote on her arm afterward. This revelation shocks her, as she hadn't considered Toon as a possibility. Memories of that night come flooding back. Toon sitting beside her, treating her wound, and Hanyu leaning over to write on her arm. The realization unsettles her. She starts checking her social media and notices multiple messages from Toon, making her suspect he wants to talk about that night. Nervous, she runs into him and spots a mole on his hand, just like the one she remembers from her mysterious kiss. Flustered, she makes up an excuse and quickly flees. Outside, she bumps into June, using him as a shield when Toon approaches. Her suspicions grow further when she recalls that Toon was wearing glasses that night, just like the person she kissed. June teases her, saying a kiss doesn't automatically mean love, so she shouldn't overthink it. But Young Sol insists the kiss felt so special that her heart raced even the next day, making her determined to find the person and confess her feelings. Toon later texts her, asking to meet at the university. Hoping for answers, she agrees. Nervous, Toon hesitates before finally admitting he's been messaging her to ask for reimbursement for the food and drinks he covered that night when she was too drunk to pay. Relieved but slightly embarrassed, she pays him and casually asks about the mole on his hand, only for him to wipe it off. It was just chocolate. That same day, Young Sol runs into Hanyu, who's wearing glasses. The sight sparks a vivid memory of her mystery kiss, and she begins imagining Hanyu as the one from that night. They decide to grab something to eat at Yuna's bar, where they chat comfortably. Just as Young Sol gathers the courage to bring up the kiss, she realizes she started her period and is wearing white pants. Mortified, she stays quiet, unable to excuse herself to the bathroom without drawing attention. Noticing her discomfort, Yuna discreetly steps in and tells Hanyu it's late, suggesting he head home. Once Hanyu leaves, Yuna gives Young Sol a change of clothes and a pill to help her. Grateful, she thanks Yuna, joking that these thoughtful gestures are why so many women are in love with him. Later, Young Sol recounts the day's events to her best friend, feeling happy about spending more time with Hanyu. However, her excitement fades when she overhears Toon telling Hanyu that a pretty girl has asked to meet him. Feeling jealous, she pretends to be indifferent and encourages Hanyu to go on the date. Disheartened, she heads to Yuna's bar, where he immediately notices something is wrong. A flashback shows their high school days. Young Sol had once talked about wanting to experience a kiss like the ones in dramas. She had leaned in to kiss Yuna impulsively, but he stopped her, saying she was too special to kiss just anyone. He also admitted he didn't feel worthy of being her first kiss. Back in the present, Hanyu arrives at the bar and tells Young Sol he turned down the date. He offers to walk her home, and they enjoy their time together. Hoping for clarity, Young Sol surprises him with a kiss to see if it matches the feelings she had that night. But when it doesn't, she apologizes and quickly leaves. Hanyu is stunned, yet his heart races, hinting that he might be falling for her. At home, Young Sol revisits her mental list of suspects. With Toon, Yuna, and now Hanyu eliminated, she's left wondering who her mystery kisser could be. She's also conflicted about how to tell Hanyu about the kiss she just gave him, not wanting to hurt his feelings. As her friend's birthday approaches, Young Sol and Yuna brainstorm gift ideas. They decide on lingerie and head to a store together. The sales clerk assumes the bra is for Young Sol and comments that it's not a good fit for her. Offended, Yuna defends her, saying she's beautiful and perfectly proportioned. Outside the store, they laugh about pretending to be a couple in front of the clerk. That evening, they surprise their friend with the lingerie, hoping she'll wear it for her boyfriend. However, their friend tearfully reveals that her boyfriend has been unfaithful, leaving them all at a loss for words. The next morning, Young Sol and Yuna prepare breakfast together. Curious, she asks him about his girlfriend. After hesitating, he finally admits that he and Jin-Yu broke up. It's the first time in his life he's been dumped. He's usually the one ending relationships. Jin-Yu had told him his kisses felt empty, lacking emotion or love. Young Sol shares her own frustration, explaining that she's still upset and confused because she hasn't figured out who her mystery kisser was. Trying to cheer her up, Yuna teases her. She takes off her glasses and places them on him, and for a brief moment, she's struck by how much he resembles the person she kissed that night. Yuna quickly removes the glasses, laughing to lighten the mood, but Young Sol can't shake the thought. She stands in front of her list of suspects, replaying the details of that night. The scent, the mole, and now the glasses all seem to point to Yuna. Reluctantly, she adds his name to the list, even though she struggles to accept that he might be the one. The following day, she meets Jin-Yu again for their project. While taking photos, she notices Jin-yu laughing and walking with another guy. Before she can dwell on it, Han-yu interrupts her, saying he has something important to share. He confesses his feelings and asks if she felt the same during their kiss. Distracted by Jin-yu, Young-sol apologizes and promises to talk later. Later, Young-sol sees Jin-yu meeting Yuna, sparking suspicion that Jin-yu might be playing games with Yuna. Unable to hold back, she confronts Jin-yu, telling her she values Yuna as a friend and won't let anyone hurt his feelings. Jin-yu tries to explain, but the other guy from earlier appears. Panicking, Young-sol grabs Yuna's hand, and they run off together. When the guy starts chasing them, Young-sol impulsively kisses Yuna to avoid being recognized. Flashbacks reveal that during the breakup, Jin-yu told Yuna his kisses lacked emotion because he had feelings for someone else, though even he wasn't sure who. Back in the present, both Young-sol and Yuna struggle to forget the kiss, each feeling conflicted. Han-yu later tells Young-sol he wants to kiss her again to confirm his feelings. But when he leans in, she stops him, admitting she doesn't know why but can't go through with it. She thanks him for taking care of her when she was drunk, but Han-yu clarifies it wasn't him, it was Yuna. Confused, Young-sol starts piecing everything together. She calls Yuna to ask who took her home that night, but he insists it was Han-yu. Suspicious of the lie, she rushes to Yuna's bar to confront him. Placing glasses on him, she confirms her suspicions and, without hesitation, kisses him. The memories of that night flood back. At midnight that night, Jin-yu had ended things with Yuna, citing the lack of emotion in their relationship. Heartbroken, Yuna returned to the bar and found Young-sol sitting on the steps, drunk. He confessed that Jin-yu had said his kisses lacked love, but he brushed it off, saying a kiss doesn't always mean love. Young-sol, equally frustrated, asked him to kiss her, arguing that a kiss didn't have to mean anything. At first, he refused. But when she playfully placed his glasses on him, he couldn't resist anymore. Overcome with emotions, he covered her eyes and kissed her, finally revealing feelings he'd hidden since their school days. Back in the present, Young-sol demands to know why Yuna never said anything. He reveals that she had asked him to forget the kiss while she was drunk. Feeling awkward, he hangs up when she calls him later, unsure how to handle his emotions. Yuna recalls Jin-yu once telling him he's always been gentle and caring toward Young-sol because he's deeply concerned for her. These thoughts only add to his confusion about his true feelings. Yuna decides that forgetting the kiss is the best way to preserve their friendship. That evening, as Young-sol takes out the trash, she runs into Yuna. They start talking but soon argue. Yuna downplays the kiss, insisting it was meaningless and happened only because of his breakup. Hurt, Young-sol trips and injures her leg. Yuna helps her up, and the tension eases. They reminisce about their school days when Young-sol would blame Yuna whenever something went wrong but always apologize because they couldn't stay mad at each other. They visit an old park they used to frequent, sitting on the same swings as before. Young-sol takes his hand, recalling a promise he made to find her the perfect guy. Finally, she admits she can't keep pretending, they're no longer just friends. Everything between them has changed. From that moment on, she wants to stay by his side, not as a friend, but as his girlfriend. However, he says nothing, and she begins to cry, turning her face away. Concerned, Yuna gently asks her not to cry. He tells her that someone unworthy of her shouldn't be by her side, and he doesn't think he's good enough to be her boyfriend. He insists it's better if they remain friends. Yuna says this because he's afraid of losing her. Keeping his feelings hidden, he prefers to stay in her life as a friend rather than risk their relationship falling apart. When they return home, she asks him for some time apart, saying she needs space to sort out her emotions and forget what happened. As she closes the door, Yuna is left standing in silence, deeply saddened by how things ended. Inside, her roommate comforts her as she breaks down in tears, while elsewhere, Yuna looks through photos of their time together, feeling equally heartbroken because he knows she's crying too. The next day, everyone heads to the bar except for her, which dampens Yuna's spirits. Still, he pretends to be fine. Later, he scrolls through his phone, looking at photos of them together and recalling their shared moments. Unable to shake his sadness, he decides to go for a walk. While out, he notices her sitting in a restaurant, smiling. Relieved to see her happy again, he's about to leave when he takes a closer look and realizes she's with Han-yu. Inside the restaurant, Han-yu tells her he's about to do something that will change everything. Suddenly, he stands and leans in, as if to kiss her. Yuna sees this from a distance and walks away, unable to watch any longer. Hanyu tells her afterward to thank him later, admitting he did it on purpose because he knew Yuna was watching and wanted to make him jealous. Later, Yuna sends her a message asking to meet at the park they used to visit. When they meet, neither knows what to say at first. Yuna breaks the silence by asking if she's happy they're no longer speaking and if letting go was easy for her. Frustrated, she replies that it hasn't been easy at all. She admits she's been trying to move on because that's what he seems to want, but every time she sees him, her heart races uncontrollably. Overwhelmed, Yuna pulls her into a tight embrace, finally showing her his true emotions. Tearfully, he asks her for a chance to start over, confessing he regrets rejecting her and promising to become the guy he once said he would find for her. His words move her deeply. Wiping away her tears, she smiles and tells him she loves him. They share a passionate kiss, sealing their feelings for each other. The story ends with her returning home, ecstatic. She tells her roommate everything that happened, proudly declaring that she's now an expert at kissing and that she's finally found the person she loves, the one who was her first kiss all along. And so, their love story finds its happy ending.